Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Interesting statements coming from NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, blah blah blah. Now let's don't forget what or why NATO was created. What was the reason? Supposedly to counter the Soviet danger, right? And the Warsaw Pact, and to make sure that there's peace in Europe, so to defend peace. That was the reason why that was created. Supposedly to keep peace, defend Europe against mainly Soviet Union. Soviet Union disappeared, NATO remained. Now we have here an incident that occurred in Dagestan, Russia, or the Russian Federation. And we have this little situation where there were some, how should I put it, the authorities, I guess, in Dagestan decided that they will receive some Israelis refugees, something like this, from Israel due to what's going on in Israel. And an airplane landed in Dagestan and a bunch of people somehow knew, thousands of people somehow knew that this airplane full of Israelis, or some Israelis being over there, landed, and they stormed the airport, and they did not allow those guys to get on Dagestan's territory. And obviously now the push is program and all this and things what happened and so on. Putin, discussed this with his main people. Everybody is, oh my God, what happened in Dagestan? All right, well, that's a problem for Dagestan, I would say, and maybe, Israel. But no, NATO reacted to that. Now, why would NATO react to such an incident? I mean, I told you the reason why NATO came into existence, was created, was formed. What does that have to do with the situation in Dagestan regarding a group, another group? I don't remember NATO saying anything about the riots in, let's say, France or, let's say, Sweden. Now, you understand, if you have at least 86 IQ, you understand that those riots and the crime surge in Sweden is not because, some people, some Swedes, drank a little bit more and they got berserk as they used to in those Viking times. No, it's not because of that, but we can say why. Remember when in Paris those riots, they destroyed communities. It was not because necessarily that guy, specific French person, was attacked by another French police, shot dead. No, it was not. It was something more. It's not because the French are doing that every weekend, but they avoided that aspect that here in Dagestan they are ready to use. So even NATO, I'm going to show you this article, reacted per Ukrainska Pravda. This is Monday, October 30th, 2023. NATO reacts to events in Russia's Makhachkala. These are the consequences of Russian propaganda. And the ones in France and in Sweden, and more to come, are a consequence of what? Of idiotic policy of because I can say it here. You know exactly what I mean. Is that what it is? I mean, my friends, there's a big elephant in the Europeans' room. All right? In Europe's room. And these guys are bringing more elephants, and things will hit the fan. The shit will hit the fan. You can have a little taste right now with what's going on in Gaza. And you see what's going on in Europe, in biggest capitals, right? In the biggest countries. In Berlin, in London, all right? Just to give you twigs. In Paris and around the world. Minorities in these countries are going to destabilize certain kind of situations. Why? Because you have them. What other thing can be? Yes, there are some other, how do you call them, people who join and really believe in that. But if you look at the masses protesting in these capitals, it's not hard to see the Swedes and so on. I'm not going to go deeper than that. Let me just read you this imbecilic article from Ukrainska Pravda about NATO reacting? I don't know, man. It's like you would have, let's say, I don't know, the Louvre reacting. The museum Louvre from Paris reacts to this thing. What the has to do with that? NATO? Anyway, so let's see. NATO has said that the riots at Makhachkala airport in Russia's Dagestan were not beneficial to the Kremlin, even though they were the result of Russian propaganda inciting hatred. Against whom? What kind? Can you give me some examples? If you use this kind of reasoning here, why don't you use the same thing in France or in other countries in Europe or in the United States of America in 2020? Remember what garbage we had here? Those were certain kind of propaganda pushed by some, and these guys got upset. And because if one person gets a wrong verdict or someone is, dies in a certain kind of situation, you don't destroy communities, you don't burn cities, you don't attack other people's property, you don't injure or kill people, do you? Well, these things you're going to have more and more and more. Why? Because, that's the way nations used to react all the time when something like this happened. Anyway, my friends, here, European Pravda, citing Yanis Sarts, director of the NATO Strategic Communication Center of Excellence, on air during the morning Panorama Latvian TV program. Latvian. All right, and I'm quoting, the Russian media is inciting hatred against Ukrainians. Give me some example. The West and now Israel. Give me an example. That tensions are rising in Russia and Dagestan is, well, you see, you can't make a pattern out of one incident. Can you? Because if we are looking at France, we can make a lot of patterns in Paris, for instance, with similar incidents where Paris was burned, parts of Paris. Remember those ones? Look in the past, I don't know, 10 years. And you can make a pattern because it's more than 2. It's more than 3. Riots, cars burning in Paris. And again, it was the French Nation who did that. Why? Just check it out. Just the articles are still available. Look if you want in Sweden. I'm picking only these 2. I can pick United States wherever I want, but it's a very long, low-hanging fruit. I don't want to pick that one. So again, look how these guys interpret things that they in their situation. And NATO, okay. Now, tensions are rising in Russia. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. The Dagestan is one of the places where many of those who died in Ukraine are from. Dagestan is one of the places where many of those who died in Ukraine are from. Nothing this guy says, I believe. Okay, let's take it everything the other way around. He added that he was not particularly surprised by the events in Makhachkala and said that these clashes are one of the manifestations of the radicalization of Russian society. Okay, tell me more. What are the clashes? What are the clashes? Remember, when clashes happen in Poland, for instance, they say it was some Russians. When clashes happen in Ukraine, well, it was some Russians. Remember? A few, maybe two weeks ago, there were some teenagers, they call them teenagers, teenage Ukrainians did some bad stuff in Ukraine regarding the Jews. What did they say? How did they report that? Remember that one? They said it was because there was some Russia propaganda, blah, 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 online, and these guys got radicalized by those. That means close those things, and you're going to have a perfect society, the way we want it, right? Yeah. And then again, what happened in Poland? The same thing. Oh, there were some Russians. What happened in what was that? Some Poles acted in a certain way. Was it in Lithuania? A football game? And say, oh, it was the Russians. I mean, if it was the Russians, what are you doing? They are radicalized. My friends, let's don't go full retard here. And I'm quoting, such manifestations, like what? You put plural. Show me one. That one over there? Okay, show me more. Are not beneficial to the Kremlin, and there will be attempts to suppress them. the expert, okay, we have to believe he's an expert, adding that this would be done in the only way they know, by force. Yeah, okay. I don't remember exactly who banned political parties, who banned Christian communities. Remember the whatever, the Moscow Orthodox Church, Ukrainian, blah blah blah. Who banned media outlets in Ukraine? I mean, if you just look at this little thing, who they are under martial law since last year, and they talk about force here. And not only that, you can find that in Europe as well. But this is the way these guys are looking at things. They look at certain thing and then they make it big, and look at something else and hush hush. But anyway, Stars, this guy here, the expert, believes that nothing threatens the Kremlin and the central government but from the point of view of the logic of the authoritarian system. Such manifestations are something that cannot be allowed because events can go unpredictably far. So then maybe is the interest of outside forces to do something like this? Is that what you're telling me? They cannot allow it, like the United States can allow it. I think the United States is more in danger to allow anything like this. Why? They keep the hatred under control. That's what these guys are doing. They instigate it and then they push them away, and then they instigate them. Why? So they can do what they do best, count their money and investments. And we're just fighting with one another because, I don't know, you're dark, I'm light, you're this and that, you're smart and I'm dumb, and so on. So it says here, in Makhachkala, Russia participates, not Dagestan, Russia, okay, whatever, it's part of Russia. They're a Muslim population, aren't they? Oh, you're not going to touch that one, are you? Participants at the anti-Semitic rally stormed the airport on October 29th, I covered that yesterday, and tried to board the plane from Tel Aviv looking for Jewish people. The airport was closed. More than 20 people were injured in the riots at the airport. The rioters were injured, not the guys in the plane. All right? Which is good. I hope that nobody gets injured. But, you know, they had to intervene and calm things down, like the Americans intervened in the Minnesota, in all these riots, in the West Coast, remember? Seattle and blah, blah, blah. They let them do it. And then they controlled it. When it was too much, they immediately said, stop, that's it. So yes, my friends, NATO reacted to that. Why? It's your business to react to such. It's an internal situation. Yeah, those guys came over there. Well, they figure things out. What are you supposed to do? Well, that would make a point. What would the American do, let's say, when they bring airplanes of illegal immigrants to their towns? What should they do? Just take a dip? Yes. And NATO is okay with that, right? Why? The elephant in the room should not be touched or infringed. Bring more. And then you're going to have a lot of harmony. A lot of harmony. You know, people of diverse thing, they think alike, they act alike, they have the same values. That's why they're, homogeneous. Really? It's an idiotic statement. Our strength is diversity. How? If we think differently, if we act differently, because that's diversity, right? Differently. If we behave, we have different values. How in the fuck we are homogeneous? How are we going to fight for the same ideas if we're different? What unites us? Principles? How do you know that? Then there's no diversity anymore. Diversity of what? Of color? What does it matter? If you say yes, then you're. If you say no, then what kind of diversity of thought? You can't have that one. That's not unifying, isn't it? Because that, I think, different than you. Let's say the Ukraine war. How are you going to unify this country with opposite opinions or assessments of the situation? It's so. This is doublespeak, my friends. It's doublespeak right here. They tell this is up and what actually is down, and this is down when actually is up. They tell us things like diversity is our strength. What? Why don't you take a diverse group of people and try to come to a solution, bring a solution? They will have different worldview. I mean, if you take a Chinese, a Romanian, South African, well, not South African, a Zimbabwean. Let's go to that one. Zimbabwean, take a few of these guys and see how they think, how they look at things. I'm going to give you an example. When I went here to college at Michigan State University, I had a colleague, she was from Costa Rica, and we played soccer, co-ed, whatever, soccer, football, and I had some conversations. She got me into that where she was playing. So we had some conversation, and she said that in Costa Rica, that's what she told me. In Costa Rica, they don't have to show up on time. Let's say they have you have to show up at 8 o'clock a.m. 8 o'clock a.m. It's a flexible thing. She said she's never been in class on time. She had a problem here at Michigan State University when she was doing medical school or something like that. I think she was a veterinarian. What the hell? The other way around. So she said, here I had a problem showing up on time at school because over there we didn't have to. It was not like a bad thing. Here you're late. She's more flexible over there. Now imagine that you have a team from Costa Rica and a team from, let's say, Germany. The German will show up 5 minutes before they start working, and the guy from Costa Rica, according to this girl, will show up, at 9 o'clock. Diversity is our strength. How in the fuck? You have to have a common denominator. I gave you this example, I just remembered it. It was a different take. Let's say you're Japanese, you're British, I'm Romanian, and this guy is French. And we have to determine on what side of the road we should drive cars. They drive on the left, we drive on the right. Diversity is our strength. How in the fuck is it? How are we going to determine? No, it's better on the right. No, it's better on the left. Yeah, it's our... And you come to the United States of America, and let's say we're Romanians and Germans, or Romanians and, let's say, Germans, and the other ones are French and English and Japanese. These communities, how are we going to determine on what side? It's going to be tensions all the time. No. Take language, take many other things, my friends, many other things. And diversity is our strength. This is just a certain kind of policy that these guys are doing to destroy certain kind of things. That's all I can tell you. I have to play full retard here, because if I play only half retard, negative things might happen to me with these guys here. So I have to just pretend that I'm just going halfway, and you get the hints. Maybe when we're gonna have freedom of speech the way it was intended, I can tell you exactly how things are. I will tell you exactly how things are, not exactly how I think things are. No, the exact thing the way they are. Yes, I know them. You don't believe me? Switch to, I don't know, other guys who are going to tell you diversity is our strength. I don't think diversity is our strength whatsoever. Thank you very much for being with me again today. In the way these guys look at it, diversity of thought, yeah, you need different ideas. But regarding building a society, no. You need a homogeneous society, my friends, if you want it to act as a country, as a nation, as a society. Otherwise, you're going to have enclaves. When you have enclaves, how are you going to put them together again? To work for what? Money? This is what the United States basically became. We came here for money, for our, beer and TV, our standard of living. They tell us, freedom, democracy. They don't give a shit. If they would really give a shit, we would not have YouTube closing our channels whenever it feels like that you say something. Community guidelines. I'm part of a community. Am I? Or just they are part of the community? You see, from the very beginning is a democracy. Democracy, is that democracy? When you have what? Look who's elected. Is that democracy? Is that democracy? If there would be democracy, you would not have garbage like that elected in the first place. Garbage. How do you have it over there? Because this is just a club. It's just a system that gives you who you can vote for. Biden? This should not even be on the list. If we would have democracy, and how many millions of dollars you need to run for certain offices, is that democracy? People will support you. How do they hear from you? Like this? Who promotes you? To do what? What they want? Well, that's the basis of democracy. Get out of here. Anyway, my friends, here NATO says, that's wrong. NATO, why don't you talk about Djokovic? Are you going to attack Djokovic, the tennis player? Are you involved in that one too? Or what? Are you going to tell me that I prefer this instead of that in my love life? NATO? You have nothing to do with that, but somehow you do have something to do with that. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.